All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started today. This is not what you guys are doing. There we go. All right, we're going to start at the same place I have been starting pretty much throughout this whole little unit, and that is right here. Where are we in the process here? We've gone through our brainstorming checkpoint. That's to gather your ideas about what topic you're going to select. Then you choose that the next week, and we do some initial research. The initial research was intended for you to try MLA format. Some of you missed that component of it, but you still have some research done. You showed me some websites. Great. Let's have you, though, try the MLA format. Part of that was so I can see where you are as far as trying to do MLA format so that I don't freak out on you all. At the end of this, when I get works cited page that have like 9 lists of URLs, and that's it with hyperlinks. So make sure you do that, and we should have at least a general idea about what our topic is going to be, a more specific topic here. Research inquiry is complete, and really this deals with questions and asking specific questions now. Hopefully they're open-ended or more open-ended than not. But, you know, part of your inquiry is going to include some closed-ended questions, like what is exactly this term that I'm talking about? This is a closed question. How many examples of this are there out there in the world? Great, closed questions, no big deal. But ultimately, your inquiry should lead you to a thesis statement, and a thesis statement is an answer to your central research questions. You know, many of you have. Let me backtrack. Some of you want to rush through this process and really just start like on an outline. I need you to like hold your horses a little bit and make sure that your thesis is good. And again, it's just a recipe. I've been through this process countless times, both on this side of the desk, as it were, and on the other side of the desk as a student and as a teacher now. And I've seen success this way, more so than I've seen success other ways. So that's what guides this approach. Spend some time with your research inquiry and really making sure you have the questions worded correctly. And then also understand, remember that question mark graphic that I showed you guys? Don't be afraid to go back along that question mark into a previous era, in a previous like segment of that question mark, because that's just what research does. I mean, you go back, you re-brainstorm, you maybe get a couple more questions, and then you keep going with those questions. They go back, brainstorm on this other question. I'm not finding answers, so I need to retool that. And so it's just a process that goes back on itself a bunch of times. In theory, you're supposed to have a thesis crafted by this coming Wednesday. What did I tell you last week about that thesis statement by this Wednesday?
The organization of the research and the thesis kind of go together.
They really do go together, yeah. So do you really have to have a locked-in thesis statement by Wednesday? No, actually, I'm gonna input that grade when I input the research is complete and organized next Monday, officially. However, it is in your best interest to try to write a thesis statement by this coming Wednesday. Why would I say that? It's good to have your words worded. That is a true statement, Charcy. Well done. But what is it about the wording, Charcy? I mean, you're totally on the right track. What is it about the wording that we want to be wary of or start paying attention to as early as we can? Really, it comes down to how you answer those questions, right? And whether or not you have an answer to those questions. Some of you have asked questions that you already know the answer to. Does that follow the spirit of this assignment? No. I wanted you to ask questions you don't already know the answer to so that you can go find new information, new learning, and transfer that through writing to your audience, which is primarily me, but it's also everybody else in class. So, try not to come up with questions that already have an answer in your brain. I want you to go find the answer through research. Okay, and just in some of the questions that I was seeing come through the, come filtering over, I'm starting to see some students like lean towards a subject that they are already very knowledgeable about, and so they kind of don't need to do any research because they already kind of know the answer. So what are they doing? Why are you writing a research paper on something you already know the answer to? So try not to verify something you already know. Try to start and go in a new direction. Maybe in the same topic that you know a lot about, but not this specific little piece of that topic. All right, and so again, we're trying to get some genuine research going and some genuine inquiry so that you answer that question. All right, so there's that. There's a thesis statement. We've been working on a thesis statement since August. of 2011, actually, in this course. That's kind of the central thing with writing, right? If there's nothing else that you take from this year, as far as writing instruction goes, it is the importance of and how to create a working thesis statement. Make sense? You guys agree with that? You guys have a pretty good idea about what a thesis is? Yeah. You know how to write a thesis statement for a research paper? Maybe not as much. So today I'm going to quickly go through and show you a PowerPoint. And again, we've already been through that PowerPoint, so I just need to show it to you, show you where it is on the Moodle, and expect you guys to revisit that if you need to. With the understanding that on Thursday, if you bring thesis statements or drafts of your thesis statements to class, I'll be able to work with you guys individually, maybe throw one up there and we'll take a look at it as a whole and do some critiquing of your kind of working thesis or an attempt at that, right? But ultimately, if your thesis statement is an answer to your research question, what do you need to do to have your thesis worded correctly?
Find the answer.
You need to have an answer, right? If my questions involve what are the root causes of English hooliganism, and how do you best go about addressing those issues, I need to have an answer. If I still don't know the answer to those two questions, I'm not done. I'm not ready for a thesis statement, right? So your thesis is kind of an end result of all your research. Another reason I want to show you this is to show you how quickly, so we're like right here, right? Look what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, spring break, 6, 7, 8, due. We have 8 class periods that we're going to meet together before this thing's due. That's about 3 weeks of like real time, right, isn't it? This week, next week, let's be honest, how many of you are going to work on it this week? I mean, many of you are not. I want you to. Some of you need to, or will need to by the time we get to this point right here. But most of you won't. I'm a realist. I'm a recovering idealist. I would wish that some of you did, but I know it's not probably going to happen. So then that leaves 3 weeks. How many of you can write a full-on researched, thesis-driven, argumentative research paper in 3 weeks? Hopefully you can. Some of you haven't started yet, or are a little bit behind, or retooled, or jumped ship on your topic, or whatever. This date right here, the April the 9th, is probably not going to change much. It has changed already, right? Originally it was due here, but there's no school here or something, or I don't know, something happened weird, right? Yeah, there's no school here, yeah. So we bumped it to this Monday. So the 9th of April. Today's the what of March? The 12th. That's less than a month in real time. Less than a month. Keep that in mind here, folks. And if you are in the habit of not really doing anything on this project until like the night before the checkpoint, or even worse, the period that I'm talking about the checkpoint, right? Again, I'm a recovering idealist. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. I know that some students don't hear a word that I say in class because they're scrambling to get some done about the stuff that I'm actually talking about in class. Whatever, that's your choice. Yeah, you can't do the research and organize it in class in one day. You're not going to be able to do all of the research that's required for this level of an assignment in one night and get it all organized and dialed in. All right. Some of you took that as a personal challenge. And some of you again are going to try to prove me wrong. Well, fine. You say I can't, I'll prove you wrong. Great. Have fun with that. Or you could just do a little bit at a time. Right? But it's coming quick here, folks. This is moving right along. Right? And unfortunately, we can't hit pause on the old clocks. We can apparently move them forward an hour and back an hour at our whim, but we can't really pause them altogether. So that brings us back to this. Thesis crafted in our research organization. I'm going to talk primarily today about research organization, but quickly I do want to revisit the idea of a thesis statement and how to do that. So we'll go back to this. We'll go back to this. You guys know how to do this, right? And we're here. Okay, again, this is not new information. You saw this last semester. So we look at an essay for 1 to 2 sentence condensation of the argument or analysis. That's what your thesis is. You need to do this. This is why you should have a thesis statement, especially in a research project. Those of you who have good memories or were paying attention in first semester will remember me saying, this is going to come back. You're going to need to know how to do this later on in the course. I don't want to give you too much information now, but at some point you're going to write a research paper, and you're going to really need to understand. Remember that? Some of you? Yeah. See, I'm true to my word most of the time. So you need to test your ideas by distilling them into a sentence or two. Test your ideas. If you already know the answer, how do you test it? It's hard to, right? So it's hard to actually test an idea through a thesis statement, through writing. You can better organize and develop your argument. Hopefully this has already been illustrated for you, i.e. lit analysis, right? Those of you who didn't have a very good thesis, what happened? Your overall score generally fell apart because of these two things. And then also provide your reader with a guide. Again, this is all review. Your thesis statement will accomplish these goals if you think of a thesis as the answer to the question that your paper explores. Isn't that weird that I talked about this in the first semester before you were even asked questions? Right? And then we have this research inquiry thing. Right? It all kind of comes together like a chain that's linked together. Chain. Interesting image. Chain. Some of you feel shackled here and chained up in school and need to leave. Anyway, I digress. We can go through how to generate a thesis. I'm not going to go through this whole PowerPoint with you because I've already done it a couple of times, I think. And there's some practice in here, how to generate a thesis if the topic is not assigned. That's you guys. Good thesis statements, 4 attributes. This is actually where we're going to start our analysis on Wednesday with the thesis statements that you bring in, or the attempts, or the drafts of your thesis statement that you're going to bring in. Take on a subject upon which reasonable people could disagree. English hooliganism is bad. Who's going to say anything different than that, right? Killing people is bad. Whatever. The Dorcas gazelle is an animal. Yes! Yes, it is. Deal with a subject that can be adequately treated given the nature of the assignment. What's the nature of this assignment? A thesis-driven, argumentative research paper. Keep that in mind. Expresses one main idea. And this is something we'll play around with a little bit today. But one main idea, meaning your thesis statement answers a set of questions. And then assert your conclusions about a subject. So these are the 4 criteria. If I were you, I would probably remember this slide, and I would probably keep those 4 criteria in mind as I'm drafting and playing around with a thesis statement that answers my questions. These 4 things should apply. Girls on the ground, are you listening to anything that I'm saying right now and paying attention at all? Hi, how are you? I'm working here, all right? Okay. General process, brainstorm this. Come on! I mean, is it that obvious? The whole reason why I'm going through this process, when I'm going through the process? Check it out. Brainstorm the topic. Sound familiar? Checkpoint. Narrow the topic. Topic chosen, initial research. Take a position on the topic. That's what you're doing for Wednesday's class. Use specific language. We'll work on that over the next couple days. And then make an assertion based on clearly stated support. 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 What's the support that you're going to be using? Research. Dude, 1 + 1 is 2. Here's how to do a research paper. They're exactly the same here, folks. It's an equation. I'm kidding. It's not an equation. Writing is not an equation. I take it back. Okay.
It would be easier if it was an equation.
What?
It would be easier if it was an equation. Sometimes with the hard thing with writing is like there's no formulas.
Yeah.
Why can't there be formulas? You should make some.
Oh, my dear student. Oh. You know why? Because what happens when you have a formula? You have an answer. An answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Maybe I could.
Then if I give you a formula, I would be reading the exact same essay 65 times.
I mean, like, the kind of is the fact that there's a standard 5 paragraphs or whatever, and like that kind of thing. There's like standards for the most part.
So,
They'd have different errors.
So yeah, there's going to be similar structures in there,
Well, yeah.
which is okay.
I mean, there's like basic structures too, which is kind of like.
It's almost like a formula. I mean, like I said, it's the recipe, right?
Yeah.
It's similar.
5 paragraphs, 5 sentences, paragraph, that in general
Mhm.
kind of thing.
But at some point we need to break away from.
Well, yeah, but that's like the basic.
Yeah, it's a good point. Anyway, process at work, and again, there's some examples that you can go through again if you'd like, and it goes through each of the steps, narrow the topic, take a position, etc., 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 and we go down, practice, practice, practice. Can you identify good thesis statements from bad thesis statements and what's wrong with thesis statements? Again, if you're taking notes, I would go to this slide here, practice, 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 and evaluate each of these as a thesis statement. Say what's wrong with it, what's right with it. Could I turn this? Does it need tweaking here? How could I make this a good thesis statement myself? Okay, there we go. And then apply these criteria to the thesis statement of an essay. You're in the process of writing. There's the slide again. The 4 criteria. Are you taking notes? Guess what you're going to write down? Those 4 criteria. Fantastical. See how that works out? See how cool this is? And it's all embedded and everything? You don't even have to open anything new. It's awesome. Let's see here. All right. Next order of business, I kind of want to give you, I want to tell you a story. You guys ready for a story? It's story time, kids. And I want to take you back. I feel like Mr. Rogers right now. I'm taking off my coat. I'm going to put on a sweater. Change my shoes. And I'll take you back into a different time, a different era. It's the 1980s. Picture this. Bad hairs everywhere. Girls with hair that's up here. And if anyone was smoking within 50 feet, their entire head would spontaneously combust because there's so much spray in their hair. Guys with mullets. Glorious mullets.
You see the kind of guy who wouldn't have a mullet.
Oh, I had a mullet. Oh, yeah. If you watched any soccer player from the 1980s, the good ones, generally, if they weren't bald, had mullets. So what was I? I was a wannabe soccer player. I had a mullet, dude. Might as well look the part, right? Oh, mullets. Glorious mullets. Uh-huh. Also, picture lots of neon. Bright colored, greens and pinks, and it's kind of like now, actually. They're seeing more and more of that. Picture another one, leg warmers. Remember the leg warmer? Wait, I see them now. Wow, time, space, continuum, vortex thing is happening, and we're back in the 80s, only we don't have mullets, we just have shaggy hair. Are you picturing this? I mean, picture like hair bands. Winger. Right? Black Sabbath, kind of. But it's more hard. Anyway, whatever. Bon Jovi. Right? Are you picturing this? Yeah. Van Halen. And then Van Hagar. You picturing this?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Duran. Yeah? Run DMC, Public Enemy, NWA. I mean, it was fantastic. The 80s, right? You know what we didn't have in the 80s?
No.
Well, not the computers that we understand today. I mean, I didn't have a computer in my hands that I could access everything that I can do basically on my other computer here in my hand. I didn't have that. I didn't really even have one of these portable deals. We had computers, and a lot of houses had like your Apple IIe computers with floppy disks. Remember floppy disks? Yeah, they were actually like floppy and bendable. They had like a magnetic thing inside of them, and you stuck them in there, and it read data on the magnetic thing inside the floppy disk. Floppy disks. Green screens. Color on a screen, forget about it. That was for your TV. That wasn't for your computer. Green screens. Black on the background, green lettering. Retro. Could you type?
Yeah.
Well, sure you could.
That's about it.
Could you do as much cool stuff with your typing as you could now?
No.
Not even close. No, not even close. In fact, you know, the really good computers had a mouse where you could like move your cursor around. Other than that, it was all arrows and, you know, yeah, tabs and control this and control that and F keys and whatever. I'm totally over it. The 80s. What a glorious time. So picture this too. Now you have to do a research paper in the 80s. Now that you have some sense of what the 80s, like picture yourself in the 80s. You're in the 80s now, right? Now I am in the 80s. Now I'm doing a research project in the 80s. And I'm at school and I'm learning and I'm excited because I also got to choose my own topic. And now I get to research this topic that I've chosen and I'm very excited. So what do? I hop in my mom's car who takes me to the library. And then I go to the card catalog. Okay, not the computer that you type in, I want to find this book or something like this book. Oh, there they are. And you went to the card catalog. And you opened the card catalog and you sifted through cards that had books on them. I don't think that's going to work. No. So your brain was doing the same thing that a computer does instantaneously, but it took a little bit longer. So I've got this project, this research topic, and I'm excited about it. And I just got to the library, and my mom says, I'll pick you up in 3 hours. Great, Mom, I'm going to be here in 3 hours. Not this, I'll call you when I'm coming. It's, we need to meet here in 3 hours, because I have no other way to tell you that. There's no, hey, text me when you're on your way, and then I'll make my way to the front door. No, it was like, be here in 3 hours. Or else I'll leave you in the library for 3 days. That's an exaggeration. It only would have been for like 2. So I spend some time in the library, and I get the card catalogs, and I write down in the little scratch papers where all the books are located, and I walk around the library, and I find the books, and the magazines, and a newspaper article, and I might even go to the microfiche archived newspapers and magazines that were shrunk down on these little magnetic, also something almost digital, but not quite. And then you had this big machine, and you run the microfiche through the machine, and then you had this like screen here, and there's a magnifying glass because it was all shrunken down.
Right
No?
on. Right on.
Never even seen? You've seen? Okay, good. You've seen it. Good. Was it in a museum?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Of course it was in a museum.
Yep.
Yeah. You know you're getting old when museums have exhibits from, like, your childhood. So I'm researching, and I've got all the stuff in a microfiche, and I printed out and photocopied, and I got it, and now what do? My mom comes 3 hours later to pick me up, and I got a stack of books and some copied stuff. We did have photocopiers, by the way. It only cost 5 cents per copy. It took forever. Anyway, a digression. So I'm ready, and I go home, and I'm done for the day, because that's 3 hours of like thinking really hard about this project, so that's fine. So then next couple days go by, and then it's time for me to work on my project again. It's homework. Guess what I had to do? I had to open up the program. No, I had to ask my mom for some note cards. Note cards. You guys know what note cards are?
Yeah.
Like little cards that you write notes on. Why did I have note cards? Well, first of all, let me explain to you the difference in note cards. And since I'm recording this, it's not going to do any good for me to actually draw it on the whiteboard. So picture this. I've got larger note cards that are, what are the normal ones? Are like 6x8, right? 3x5? 3x5 are the little ones. Then there's the 6 by something or other. 6x10, maybe? Almost double the size. So the big ones, I got a few of those, and then I got a whole bunch of the little 3x5 cards. The big ones were my source note cards. And so every time I had a source, like a book or a magazine article or whatever, I would write down in MLA format still, but this was like the first edition of MLA format. I would write down in a particular order the author and the title and underline everything, because you couldn't italicize anything because you didn't have that. You just underline it manually. And I wouldn't be printing this or typing it. I'd be writing out longhand. So that would be on my source card. And then in that source, so let's say I got a source card for this here, this little magazine, AP English Honors Advanced. Okay, so then I flip through, and I find, ooh, this is a great page. And then so I find like a fact or something I would write down in my notes. So I would put that down, hand copy that, not copy and paste. No. I would rewrite it by looking and rewrite onto the 3x5 index card. One per card. So I'd write one fact, flip it over, then I got a new card. And then I'd keep researching, oh, that's a good fact. And then I'd write down, new card. Boom. And I'd do that. So at the end of this thing, let's say I have 50 different facts from this source. How many index cards did I have? 51, right? 50 for the facts and then one source card on top, right? Yeah. was awesome, right? Because it's all like right there in sources. So then I'd go to my next source, and I would do the same thing. Let's say this one only gave me like 10 facts or notes or informational pieces. So I would have 10 plus the one source card. And then I would do that for all of my sources. How many cards did I have? A ton of them. Right, yeah. A ton. I weighed them once. It was 1 ton exactly. Weird.
How did you weigh 2,000 pounds?
Right?
Okay.
I did some math.
Oh, you had to break it up.
I broke it up. Yep.
That's so much strength.
Pound by pound by pound. 2,000 times I had to weigh. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't really a ton. But it was a lot, right? It seemed like a ton of these things. So then what do? I got my source stuff. I'm ready to write my paper, right? No. What did I needed to do? Then I needed to like organize the notes, not in terms of sources, but in terms of what I was going to use and how. So let's say that one that I had 50 on, probably those 50 facts or pieces of information didn't go with the same topic. There were probably a bunch of different topics, but they were all just from that one source. So then what do I need to do? Then I needed to figure out what my subtopics were. Then I need to go back through my cards and come up with some kind of organizational structure. I like colored markers. And I would circle like the facts in yellow that were all kind of the same, and then in red, all the red ones are all the same kind of information along the same subtopics. Right? How did I get to those subtopics? Well, I had to write about it. I had to brainstorm. What are my subtopics? Where am I going with this whole thing? Right? So for you guys, where are we in the process? That's the research inquiry, right? When I brainstormed, all right, what exactly is it that I'm looking for here? And then here are the questions I'm going to answer specifically. Those are going to be my subtopics. So I color-coded everything. So now I've got a big jumble because I've got them arranged by source first, right? So 6 different sources. And now I've just gone through all those sources, and now they're all color-coded by way of topics, subtopics, right? So then what do I need to do? Reorganize everything. So picture this, right? You still in the 80s with me? You're still in like big hair and you know. Okay. So with some with some Van Halen playing in the background, there was me in the living room. Moved the coffee table out of the way, and I had the whole floor, and I had all my cards stacked in here by source still. So I get one stack, put my source down over there, and I go, okay, yellow ones over there on my left, red ones in front of me, blue ones to the right, pink ones behind me, and then I kept going through each stack like that, and I would organize the facts by way of subtopics, and I would have eventually 4 or 5 different stacks of information of cards from a variety of sources, right? Yeah. So not only did I have to organize my index cards by way of source, because I needed to cite them in my paper still, right? And so there was some little denotation in there, source number 1, source number 2, and then there was color-coded within each of those. So it was quick for me to look at the stack. And then after I got done with that, and the living room was a mess, my mom was yelling at me to pick everything up because it's dinner time. And Mom, I'm not quite done yet. She says, well, what are you working on? My research paper? And she says, okay, fine. Because she was a language arts teacher too, so she kind of liked the fact that I was doing my homework like that. Guess who taught me how to do it this way, by the way? My moms. Yeah, my moms. So when you guys attack like the process here, who are you attacking? My moms, right? I don't take it personally much. But really, what are you doing? When you insult the process, you're insulting my mom, right? So quit doing. I'm kidding. So I get everything cleaned up, and I get everything in stacks of subtopics, right? And then in that stack, I've got a bunch of facts from a variety of sources, and it's all kind of organized right there. Boom, 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 and 5 different stacks. See where this is going? What can I do now? An outline. I'm organized now. I've got everything in terms of source. I know what source it's coming from, and I know what subtopic it's related to. So now I can take that information, those stacks of index cards, and I can put it into an outline. And from there, the process is exactly the same for you guys. Outline, first draft, second draft, published draft. Now for me, it just took a lot longer. Because for the first little bit, I actually had to write in pen my research paper. And in the 80s, you know, they don't really have like a lot of ink that you could erase. I mean, they had erasable pens, but it was awful and it would just smudge and it was terrible. So when you made a mistake,
You started over.
you started over. Yeah, yeah. And then further on, maybe early high school, I actually had to do this stuff on a typewriter. Typewriter, right?
That's all one of those ones.
Right? You had to have footnotes. So you had to leave enough space at the bottom for like your references, because this is a little bit of a different style. It wasn't MLA sweet dialed yumminess that you guys have. It was footnotes and endnotes. So if you didn't leave enough room, guess what you did? Yeah, you just start the whole page over because you had to like time it right and like, oh yeah. One mistake. I mean, back a couple times, but ultimately you didn't want to keep buying the eraser tape stuff, you know. So you just ended up throwing it all off paper, or even better, paying attention while you did stuff. Anyway, yeah. So whatever. I'm not bitter about it. I don't think this generation takes advantage of the cool tools that they have. And no, seriously, I don't. Yeah, you guys have great. Okay? So there's the context. There's where I'm coming from. You got that? You got that story? Okay, now ready to jump light years ahead? Let's go back to the future, huh? Marty McFly style, right? Let's get in the DeLorean, kids. Are we in the DeLorean? All right. Are we going the right amount? Do you know the speed? What's the magic speed?
80 something? 83.
80. Yeah, I don't remember either. I know it's in the 80s. I want to say it was 80, 88 for some reason, but I don't know. Somebody with a Google machine, look it up. Seriously. I kind of know. I want to know now. Anyway, we're in the DeLorean. We hit the magic thing. We're back in 2012. Now you're a student. Now I'm a student. Let's say I'm a student in 2012, and I have to do a research paper on a self-selected topic. That part's the same. I have to do research. That part's the same. How fast? 88? I'm a child of the 80s. All right. I get excited about little things. Like the Timbers season opener tonight. Oh, who's going to be there? This guy.
You know.
Yes, I am.
It's 88 now, so.
88, good. Verification, cross-reference, and done. I'm still a child of the 80s. Okay. What's different now about our research? What do you not need to do? Hey, Mom, can I go to the library? You don't need to do that anymore. You know why? Because the library is housed in the Google machine. So all you need to do is do what? You need to open the door to the Google machine, yeah? Yeah, so you got to get online and you got to do your research that way. Is it still like doing the same kind of research though?
Yes.
Yeah, you still need like credible sources, right? You still need to note where you're getting your sources. So you need source cards in quotation marks, and you need index cards in quotation marks. Yeah.
Okay, I have a comment to make.
Comment.
I really wish I grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know.
You just told us the good part.
Bad hair is the good part?
Yeah.
No technology is the good part? How did I make that appealing to you? I was supposed to make it like unappealing. Anyway, a digression. Here we go. Look, we're back into it. We're remember, DeLorean, 2012, student now, researching on the interwebs, source cards. Okay. What's not different, though, I think, is the same organizational approach. I think you guys and gals will benefit from thinking about this research project in an organizational piece in terms of source cards and index cards. Now, what's great is you don't necessarily need cards. You know why? Because you have these. What are these like? Cards? I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. I don't like doing that and stuff. Except for I kind of get paid to do it, but whatever. I mean, why not use something like this that already has something built into it that allows you to do cards? So maybe for your title slides or card, this is like your source card. There's my source. So now what do? New slide, and I have right, am I making my point? We have our details here. New slide. More details. And you're copying and pasting and doing all kinds of stuff in your slideshow. And then what happens when you need a new source? Same thing, right? And then you do a new source. And everything underneath that particular source slide or card is there. Yeah? See where I'm going with this? How do you color code this then? Yeah, background, slide themes. You can do the text itself. You can actually color code the text by highlighting it, right, and choosing text color. You can, right? You have all the cool stuff here in the same program, kids. And I'm not selling this. I'm just telling you, that's how I do it. You've got it all at your fingertips, literally. Fingertips. Now, how does this translate into a grade? Number one. Monday next, 1 week from today, you're going to need to show me that you know how to organize your research and that it is mostly complete. My guess is that all of your research isn't going to be complete until probably like the last week before you do it. Like when you have a first draft, you're probably going to be done researching at that point. But maybe up until that point, you might still have 1 or 2 little things that you need to tweak or cross-reference or verify, right? But by next Monday, you should have the bulk of your research finished and an organizational structure set in place, not based on sources, but based on topics, and it's the next step to your outline. Okay? So this right here, what I just showed you how to do, this would be organized by what? By source. Once you get in here and you start color coding things, and let's say, this is going to take forever, whatever. Let's just do boldface and then italics and underline. Okay, so that's how I'm going to organize everything. So the next phase of this is to open maybe a whole new PowerPoint presentation and copy and paste all the boldface stuff together. And then copy and paste all the italicized stuff together. So it's arranged by topic, not by source. Okay, because the source arrangement isn't going to help you at all for your organization. Right? It's not going to help you for your outline. And again, that's the whole point of this process, is to, number one, get everything in the same place, all your research in the same place. And then from there, you can start breaking it up and putting it in terms of your paper. Make sense? Questions so far about the process here? No? Do you have to do it this way? The PowerPoint? No. Could you conceivably have hard copies of everything that you found because you went online and you just copied and pasted and shrunk everything and have hard copy and do highlighters? Yeah, absolutely. It's already going to be arranged by source because you print it off from the website. But then you go through and you highlight or you annotate or you do some other way of making it obvious to me that you've extracted information based on subtopics rather than on sources. That's what you show me on Monday next. How many of you feel pretty prepared and set up for success with regards to that end product? Good. I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of hands kind of shyly kind of go up. I think so. No. I'm still kind of stuck in the 80s with you. Kind of want to stay in the 80s. No, yeah, you really did. Yeah, it was polyester, right? Uniforms. Oh, although my freshman high school uniform was epic. Long sleeve, like goldenrod yellow with a diagonal maroon stripe, right? Polyester, like heavy polyester with a collar. That was popped whenever we could. And embarrassingly short shorts that were also polyester, maroon, and just these ridiculously uncomfortable soccer socks. And a mullet to boot, right? I mean, that's not icing on the cake for that outfit. I don't know what it is. Yeah, epic. All right. Any questions so far about this? No. Do you have questions about anything with regards to this process? No? Not right now, Mr. West, because I wasn't really listening to you. But I'm going to have a question later. I'll bet you. I'll bet you I see at least 7 of you in the next 48 hours. Who could say, so yeah, I don't really understand what you're saying. Because you didn't actually listen to what I was saying. Is that weird? Is that right? Is that correct? Yeah. Do you think I could probably pinpoint exactly who was not listening to me today? Probably. Yeah, I probably could. Yep. But I'm not gonna, because that's embarrassing for everyone. All right. Hey, if there are no more questions, you have quite a bit of work to do, folks, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Go forth and research and be productive members of society.